Now with Robert Oulds in London. He's the executive director of the think tank Impact International. He was previously the head of the Conservative Party think tank, the Bruges Group. Really good to have you back with us, Robert. As Sarah just explained there, the mourning rituals for the late Queen Elizabeth are well underway, culminating in the funeral that's due to take place next Monday. But can we just look ahead to King Charles's reign, I should say. What sort of a monarch do you think he'll make for Britain and the 14 other countries that have him as head of state?
Well, King Charles inherits a wonderful legacy from his mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, who has really exemplified what monarchy is all about, and that the pageantry and, of course, the dedication to service, which she so embodied throughout her life and indeed her long reign. So Charles has this wonderful legacy, and he's pledged to not meddle in politics. Previously, he has been a great activist in environmental issues, in terms of architecture, and sometimes courting some controversy as well. That's something that the monarchy cannot do publicly. Of course, it has a role privately to be consulted, to advise and to warn the prime ministers and his heads of government of the United Kingdom and his other realms across the globe. But of course, he won't be doing that publicly. And I think he's inheriting the goodwill from his late mother, the Queen, and will take that forward and rule in a way that will add more prestige to the monarchy as well, and build upon what he's inherited, which of course is something he's been waiting for most of his life.
That's right, but in the meantime, soon after Charles III was declared king, the Prime Minister of Antigua announced that his country would likely take the issue of republicanism to a referendum in the next 3 years, thereby losing another British head of state, or country that has the British monarch as head of state. That follows a similar move by Barbados last year. Do you think that King Charles will preside over a more diminished realm?
Well, countries such as Australia have announced that they will not be having any referendum on the monarchy and becoming a republic. Of course, the King Charles is also King of Canada in his own right, another significant country, and the process of losing the odd dominion around the globe as relatively smaller countries began under Queen Elizabeth. However, I'd caution them to be to think again, because indeed, if we look at the world, the happiest, most often the most prosperous, with effective businesses and good human rights and well-functioning democracies, those countries are often constitutional monarchies. So I would appeal to those nations around the world to look to their future positively and do the best by their people, which would indeed have this unique position that Northern European countries have developed, where we have these constitutional monarchies that link with the past and also enable countries to be at ease with themselves. And they are indeed, it's a successful model. We can't be sure exactly why, but republicanism doesn't always generate happiness. If we look at various countries, if we have a head of state who's then elected, that can indeed be divisive, as we've seen in the politics, for instance, of the United States of America or other nations around the world. You can name any one you would so wish. But when we have a constitutional monarchy where the head of state is outside of politics and above it, then of course that allows governments to be more consensual, to work with opposition in a more productive way. There's something very unique about it that just happens to work. So I would caution Antigua to think again and look towards nations like Australia, which is a great, powerful nation that's done very well under its constitutional arrangements and its traditional links with Britain, and yet is still open to the world and has, apart from the lockdowns which were conducted with a degree of brutality during the COVID era, has actually been a great success. So I would caution those countries to think again and look at the successful model that has emerged almost by accident in the United Kingdom and stick with us.
So it seems that one of the challenges that King Charles will face is to prove that the monarchy is still relevant in the countries where he is still head of state. What activities might he embark on in the coming years to prove that?
Well, he needs to be very active, and for a man in his 70s, that will be a challenge. However, he is committed, and I think what we've seen with the outpouring of grief, genuine grief in many cases, and the enormous respect that world leaders around the world have towards the Queen and the British monarchy, I think it shows that the monarchy is still indeed very relative. President Biden in the United States will be attending the Queen's state funeral. He referenced Queen Elizabeth II during his speech on the anniversary of 9/11, the 21st anniversary of that heinous tragedy, a crime that was committed against the United States. Even President Putin, someone who is having a conflict with the United Kingdom via the proxy of Ukraine at the moment, has indeed sent his warm wishes. World leaders around the world look towards the Queen and the British monarchy, and that's been underpinned again through the sad circumstance of the Queen passing. So King Charles III, as we will now address him, as that is indeed his role, that goes to show that it's still indeed highly, highly relevant and something that world leaders will aspire to. And people around the world will want to know that there is this continuity in the United Kingdom and these links and this great institution which has been there for many, many decades as something which advises other nations around the world and gives the counsel that world leaders need. And that was the role of Queen Elizabeth II, and that will be the role going forward. And other world leaders will want that and realise that it's something really unique and something to be cherished. Okay. And a great treasure that we have within the United Kingdom, and they will want to obtain their links to have that counsel and that options of being close to the United Kingdom and the great wisdom that British monarchs can give to the world.
Okay, Robert Oulds, we'll have to leave it there, but really appreciate your analysis as always. Thank you.